Okay, so now I want to talk to you about making sure that your high notes sound good. On my lesson talking about fingerings, we went through all the different fingerings, and you have that fingering chart, by the way. Hopefully you've downloaded that from that lesson. I did allude to the fact that you want to make sure you're using your air properly so that your notes sound good. You're not just fingering them and they're barely squeaking out. They have to sound as good as every other note on your horn. And the way to get them to sound as good as every other note on your horn is to play them in the same way that you play the rest of the horn. So, meaning, as far as your air is concerned, that you want to move your air forward. And again, like every other note on the horn, you want to make sure that your reed is vibrating. You want to make sure your reed is vibrating. So if it's not vibrating well, then those, all we're doing when we're playing those high notes is just picking out the top overtones of the natural sound of the horn. Those overtones are being created by the vibration of the reed. So got to get that reed to vibrate in order for those overtones to come out. So. So we want those notes to come out easily and have them all, speak. So just be aware when you're practicing these guys. I haven't gotten the exercises for you. I mean, I can't say that I ever actually played scales. I mean, I can play some, not that I didn't practice those notes, not that I'm discouraging you from practicing them, obviously, but play them individually and make sure that when you're playing them, that they sound good. Whether you're going to incorporate them in some sort of scale or arpeggio. Or however you want to do it. Make sure that, again, that the ratio between the pressure of your lip, your embouchure, and your air stays the same. So I like to think that ratio is like 60% air and 40% embouchure. That's the pressure that we use when we move forward. Those are numbers off the top of my head, but that's how I feel. I feel like the majority of the support of our playing, our sound in general, is more air than lip. It makes sense, right? Because air helps to vibrate the reed. Our embouchure is really kind of helping to deaden the reed. I mean, your mouth is actually on the reed. We're pressing down on it in order to create a sound. So all that pressure is bringing the reed down. It's kind of deadening the vibration. The air is what's driving the reed to vibrate. So as long as you think of that as you're playing, especially on the high notes, then you've got to stand a much better chance of having those notes sound good and sound in tune. So air-driven. You need the pressure here, but make sure your air is definitely there. Your throat is incredibly important. Okay, on my throat position lesson, I get way more into this topic. But basically, you want to make sure you're opening your throat. So when you open your throat, just like all the rest of the horn, the simple way to think about opening your throat is just either speaking in a low voice when you speak in a low voice, or you sing your lowest note. You have that feeling when you play. Just like on the rest of the bottom of the horn, when I open my throat, you can hear the change of tone. It really opens things up. You're not actually saying anything. You're not actually singing anything. But that's the position that you want to get into. So just to randomly say, open your throat. It's hard to know what that is unless you use some sort of tool to get there. So same thing with high notes. Very often, if I go for a high G and it doesn't come out, I think, I forgot to open my throat. The only thing I'm really changing there is my throat position. Open my throat, the note comes out. Close down my throat, it doesn't come out. So your high notes have a lot to do with the amount of air that's hitting the reed. It doesn't have to hit it necessarily super hard. You got to hit it hard enough so that the note will come out and will come out in tune. But having your throat nice and open will help improve not only the sound of your high notes, but the sound of your entire instrument altogether. So there are some tips on how to make your high notes sound super great, and I'd love to hear how great your high notes are sounding. So shoot me a video and let me hear you. Alrighty, have fun with those high notes.